All right, let's talk about something truly wild today. We're diving into a story where the line between fiction and reality doesn't just get blurry, it pretty much gets into a brawl. We're going to explore what happens when fictional characters get so completely fed up with their author that they decide to, well, sue him.
Okay, so to get this, we have to start with the central idea of the story, this weird little phenomenon it calls see you around the corner. You know that feeling? It's like a cosmic prank, where the universe forces you to meet the very thing you just finished swearing up and down could not possibly be real.
So, to make this crystal clear, the story gives us a perfect little scenario. Picture this. You've got a dad who is just so over his son's obsession with dragons. He's laying down the law, dragons aren't real. End of story. But naturally, because the universe has an amazing sense of humor, what happens the very next day? Our very practical, no-nonsense dad is just walking home, and he happens to bump into a stranger in a, let's just call it, a very elaborate costume. And bam, there it is. The stranger announces he's none other than the Dragon Emperor, literally becoming the one thing the dad swore didn't exist. That, right there, is your textbook see you around the corner.
So now that we get the concept, here's where the story gets really, really clever. It immediately turns that idea right back around on its own creator, an author by the name of Edwin M. Boozy.
So our author, he's just minding his own business, taking a walk, probably thinking up new ways to torture his characters, when suddenly he gets called out by some mysterious figures. And his reaction is just pure, unadulterated, multilingual panic. I mean, this isn't just surprise. This is the kind of terror you feel when you see something that just shouldn't be possible, because he knows who they are. And here's the big reveal. These aren't just some random people giving him a hard time. They are Aizan, Ryu, and Ole, the actual main characters from his own novels. They've somehow walked straight off the page and into his world. And, they are not here for an autograph. Oh no, they are furious. They know his full name, and they are about to make him answer for what he's done. This is where things go from weird to completely surreal. They don't just yell at him. They literally drag him to a bizarre makeshift courtroom to put him on trial for his crimes as a writer. And the charges are just, perfect. They're basically a greatest hits of every lazy or tragic storytelling trope you can think of. Killing off parents for drama? Check. Overusing certain character types? Guilty. Cliché plot twists? Oh, he's getting charged for that too. The author's defense is, well, let's be honest, it's pathetic. He's basically saying, hey, it makes for a cool plot twist, and then he tries to claim it's not his fault, that he just lets things happen. It is the ultimate writer's cop-out. And to make things even worse for him, the defense attorney he picked is Aizan, one of his own main characters, who pretty much immediately announces that, yeah, he hates the author's guts. So, not exactly a fair trial. So, with a rigged trial and a lawyer who wants him to lose, the verdict is, big shocker, guilty. He's condemned, but our author, backed into a corner, has one last, brilliant, desperate move up his sleeve. The judge, who is also one of his characters, Olele, asks him if he has any last words before they, carry out the sentence. And this is his chance. His request is strange. He doesn't beg or plead. Nope. He asks for a super dramatic death. He wants to be thrown into a volcano. His characters, kind of respecting the drama of it all, agree. But then he adds a tiny little crucial detail. He wants all his stuff thrown in with him, including all the books he's written. The very books that his captors are from. And there it is. The trap is sprung. He lays it all out for them with a little wink. They are characters from a book. If you destroy the book, you destroy the characters inside it. It is a perfect checkmate. He's created a paradox they can't escape. It's the ultimate trump card for an author. They're totally stuck. To execute him would be to erase themselves. They have no choice but to let him go. So after all that chaos and that frankly genius escape, what's the actual takeaway here? What is this hilarious story really trying to say about creating things? Well, this whole thing perfectly captures the big tension for any artist, right?
On one side, you have this godlike power to create and destroy worlds. But on the other, you've got this kind of moral weight, this responsibility for the beings you dream up and then put through the ringer, all for a good story.
And just to give you an idea of how much of a literary monster this guy was, the source material says that the charges we saw, that was just a sneak peek. In total, his characters had 68 grievances against him. 68!
And here's the final punchline. After this whole near-death experience, after this profound lesson in creative responsibility, did our author learn a single thing? Nope. The very first thing he does is threaten another character with some ridiculous fate in her next adventure. Which really just leaves us with this one big question, doesn't it? This story plays around with power and paradox and morality, but it doesn't really give us an easy answer. It just makes you think, what, if anything, does a creator actually owe to the things they create?